Today we're pulling back the curtain on a system of influence that's working in the shadows of our lives, both at work and at home. We're going to break down something called the architecture of ego pressure. Think about that for a second. That's not just some clever quote, you know? It's a blueprint, a strategy, and it gets at something really deep about us humans. Our own identity, the very thing we're proud of, can be turned into a weapon, a leash. And that's exactly where we're starting this deep dive, right at that crossroads where praise meets control. So, let's really define this thing. Ego pressure. This isn't just, someone giving you a compliment. No, it's a system, an architecture. It's deliberately designed to tap into that part of you that wants to be significant, to be important. And it works by making your self-worth totally conditional. It takes your drive to be exceptional and twists it into a tool to make you comply, usually at a huge cost to your own health and sanity.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to take it apart piece by piece. Here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll look at the trap itself, what we're calling the pedestal prison. Then the target, the high-performing slave. After that, we'll map out the whole four-phase system of capture, dig into the psychology of why it works so well, figure out how to spot it, and then, finally, we'll talk about how to flip the script, from being a hero to being an owner.
All right, first stop, the pedestal prison. This is the foundation of the whole thing. When someone puts you on a pedestal, what do we think? We think, wow, they really see me, they're celebrating me. But if you look at it from a strategic, diagnostic angle, that's not what's happening. They're not celebrating you, they're defining your space. They're literally building the walls of your cage. So let's break this down, because this is where it gets really interesting. This completely reframes what praise is. We think of praise as a reward, right? Wrong. In this system, it's a targeting sequence. The person doing this, let's call them the ego architect, isn't just being nice. They're running a test. That compliment? It's a probe, checking to see how thick your vanity is. And here's the kicker. Being told you're the best lights up our brains. It feels like security on a biological level. So the ego architect uses this. They give you that exclusive recognition, and what happens? You start overperforming, pushing yourself to the brink, just so you don't lose that feeling. That right there is the neurological handcuff snapping shut.
Okay, so we've seen the theory, but what does this pedestal prison actually look like in the real world? Well, that brings us to the person living inside it, the high-performing slave. This is where the abstract concept becomes a brutal day-to-day reality. It's the moment your greatest strengths get twisted into your biggest weaknesses.
And this is just the perfect example, isn't it? It's the core paradox. I mean, think about it. You're told you're too good for some boring task. And then what happens? You end up doing that exact task for 14 hours straight. Why? Because you're the only one who can do it right. It's this perfect trap. Your special status is used to exempt you and then immediately used to obligate you. The praise literally hijacks your survival instincts. Your image, your identity as elite, becomes way more important than your own health. You've become a disposable piece in their game.
And this all leads to a really specific outcome, something called sovereignty atrophy. Think of sovereignty as your personal self-governance, your ability to draw lines and protect yourself. Well, under this constant ego pressure, that ability just withers away, it atrophies. That deep desire to be exceptional, to stay on that pedestal, that becomes the exact thing that makes you so easy to exploit. It's like you're so desperate to prove you're a genius that you just hand over the remote control to your own life.
Okay, so we've met the players, the trap and the target. Now, let's look at the machine itself, the engine that runs this whole operation. This is the absolute core of our breakdown today, the architecture of this gilded cage. And make no mistake, this is not random. It's a system, a four-phase loop engineered for one purpose, to capture your identity. So here it is, the ego engineering loop. It's got 4 stages. 1, a huge, intense blast of validation. 2, they frame a massive burden as some kind of honor. 3, they make that validation scarce, something you have to earn back. And 4, they lock themselves in as the final judge of your worth. It's a cycle, and it's designed to do one thing: strip you of your autonomy.
All right, let's look at phase 1, the high-intensity validation strike. We're not talking about a simple good job. The ego architect finds that thing you're most proud of, your intelligence, your loyalty, whatever it is, and they don't just notice it, they over-verify it. They hit you with lines like, people talk about your work, or you're on a completely different level than anyone else here. That intensity, that's the key. It's meant to give you a rush so big it just steamrolls your natural skepticism. It's like they're kicking down a psychological door.
And once that door is kicked in, they set the trap. Phase 2, burden framing.
See, they don't ask you for a favor. That would be too simple. They frame it as a challenge to who you are. The script is almost always the same. You know, I've got this insane project. It would crush a normal person. I was gonna give it to someone else, but honestly, they just don't have what you have. You hear that? This is the moment your sovereignty breaks. Because saying no isn't just turning down work anymore. It's admitting you're just normal. And for a brain hooked on being special, that's terrifying. So you take the burden. You wear it like a medal.
Now this is where the mind games really begin. Phase 3 is all about chemical management. That flood of praise you got in Phase 1, it dries up. Suddenly it's unpredictable, conditional. You only get it when you really deliver. And this creates a kind of withdrawal. You start chasing that high, working harder, longer, sacrificing more, just to feel special again. The influencer has created a validation monopoly. They are your only dealer for the drug you now desperately need. You start exploiting yourself, running yourself into the ground for another fix.
And that leads us to the final, and honestly, the most chilling phase, the identity anchor. At this point, the game is over. The power dynamic has completely flipped. It's not a professional relationship anymore. It's psychological servitude. You stop checking in with yourself to see how you're doing. Instead, you're constantly looking to them. Are you still valuable? Are you still elite? They've become the only mirror you trust. The genius is now the servant.
Okay, so the system itself is pretty clear, right? But here's the big question. Why does this work so well? Why does it trap even really smart, sharp people? To answer that, we've got to go deeper. We have to look at the psychology underneath it all, and we have to understand just how much our brain hates the idea of being ordinary.
And this right here, this is the master key. It's a concept called self-verification theory. Basically, it means we are wired with this deep, primal need to have other people confirm the way we see ourselves. So if your self-image is, I am a hero, or I am the best, your brain will go out and actively hunt for proof of that, even if the proof comes in the form of being totally exploited. The manipulator isn't doing anything new. They're just using your own self-concept as a weapon against you.
This lays out the subconscious choice our brain is making perfectly. Look at this. On one side, you've got the hero narrative. It feels amazing, significant. It gives you a biological buzz, but you get exploited. On the other side, you have a healthy, sovereign boundary. It feels, well, kind of average. Biologically, it's neutral, but you get respected. When you put it like that, it seems obvious, right? But to the brain, that hero story, that martyr narrative, it's just so much more compelling, even if the price is insane.
So how does the brain get stuck in this loop? It's basically a three-part chemical trap. First, you've got cognitive dissonance. Your brain hates conflict, so instead of admitting, I'm being used, it tells itself, this is just the price of being at the top. It justifies the pain. Second, there's the dopamine loop. That feeling of being special is a powerful drug, and it's a way more immediate reward than a paycheck. Your brain chooses the instant chemical hit. And finally, there's this mental shortcut, this heuristic of specialness. We start to believe that being significant is the same as being worthy as a person. So losing that special status feels like an existential threat.
Okay, look, understanding the theory is great, but how do you actually spot this happening in real life, in real time? That's what this next part is all about. It's about diagnosis. It's about switching off that part of your brain that's enjoying feeling special and switching on the part that can coldly, objectively audit what's really going on.
Now this chart, this is your diagnostic tool. It shows you the #1 red flag, what we can call the affirmation agony disconnection. Just look at the bars. The status you're being given, through the roof. The pain you're feeling, also through the roof. But your actual well-being, it's in the basement. This is the moment you have to pay attention to. When the praise you're getting doesn't even come close to making up for the pain it's causing you, that's the alarm bell screaming that you are caught in this system.
And that brings us to the core tragic irony of this whole thing, the hero's paradox. The person who believes they're the only one who can save the day is the only one who can't see they're just being used. It's that very identity, that pride in being the hero, that acts as a blindfold. Admitting that your specialness has been turned into a leash, well, that's a tough pill to swallow. It makes the whole story you've been telling yourself collapse.
So that brings us to the end game. We've taken the machine apart, we know how it works, we know how to spot it. Now we need to talk about what to do. And this isn't about a list of tips and tricks. This is about a fundamental shift in your entire mindset. It's about firing yourself from the job of being the hero in their story and hiring yourself as the owner of your own.
So how do you actually break free from this system? The key insight here is that awareness is the weapon.
The moment you truly understand the mechanics we've been talking about, the whole system of captured pride just starts to fall apart. It can't operate in the light. This understanding we've just built together, that's your most powerful tool.
So it all boils down to this. The first move is a simple rejection. You have to stop needing to be the hero. You have to let go of that addiction to being told you're special, that you're the only one. You have to recognize the hero role for what it often is, a trap.
And instead, you start being the owner. Because real power, true agency, isn't about being seen as the best by someone else. It's about being sovereign in your own life. It's about you deciding what you're worth, you protecting your time and energy, you owning your own well-being.
So we're going to leave you with this final thought. We've laid out the blueprint for a system of control. The final step is always yours. You have to apply this diagnostic lens to your own life. Look at those transactions of praise and pain. And then you have to ask yourself a very hard question. Who is the architect of your cage?